G'day, welcome to Todd's Kitchen. Now by no means am I a professional cake designer. This is just a simple and easy cake to make that anyone could do at home, and you don't have to do Star Wars, you can do any type of figurine, or any type of design that you like. It is so easy to make, and well, I'm going to show you how. So join me today as I make my version of a Yoda Star Wars cake. Now for the first stage, I'm going to use some vanilla cake mix. Now this is a pre-bought cake mix that I've just added the simple ingredients of butter, egg and milk. Now this cake is more about design than recipe, so feel free to make your own, but for this particular one, pre-bought is fine. So this is actually for the Yoda section of the cake. So once it's all completely mixed through, as Yoda's relatively green, I'm going to add some green food coloring. Just a little bit of time, but you're going to need a bit, so you're going to need about a teaspoon, between a teaspoon to a tablespoon worth of green food coloring. So just keep on adding a little bit at a time until you get to that desired shade. And next I have a shallow lined baking tray that I've lined with non-stick baking paper, and I've given it additional grease on top of the non-stick baking paper. So it's just a simple matter of pouring our mixture into our baking tray and just make sure it's all nice and even. And it's just a simple matter of following the cake instructions. For this, it's 40 minutes in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so our first cake is out of the oven and it is completely cooled down. And now for the next step, which is going to make our Yoda. Now I'm going to use a Yoda cooking cutter. I picked this up on eBay. They're very easy to find and they're also very cheap too. But you can also make your own. It's basically just a piece of metal that's been shaped into the shape of a Yoda head. Or if you feel confident in cutting it out yourself, without this, go for it, give it a go. So we're just going to start cutting out our Yoda shapes. And just make as many as you possibly can, just so there's no risk of coming up short. Next I have a loaf cake pan that I've also greased and lined. And I've also made up another packet of our vanilla cake mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit just on the bottom. We want just enough to cover the bottom, not too much. Evenly spread it out. And once that's spread out, we're going to place this into a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 5 to 10 minutes, just until it just starts to turn a little bit solid, and this will give us a base on which to rest our Yoda heads on. Okay, so as you can see, it has now just risen slightly, so you don't want it completely cooked, otherwise you're going to overdo the mix. Now as a little bit of extra, it's like, it sort of works like a bit of a glue, but it also gets some of the bottom filled up as well. I'm just going to add a very thin layer, just on top in the middle. Then we're just simply going to grab our Yoda heads and start positioning them just in the middle. Now notice the ears are pointing up or down. You want them pointing up, which is how Yoda's ears are supposed to be. So just make sure you put them the right way, of course. Now once you're positioned to all the Yoda heads, simply going to fill it up with the rest of our cake mix. Just start with the sides first so you can get under those ears, just to fill up those gaps. And just work over the top after that. Now depending on the size of the cake pan, don't be afraid to make up 2 packets of extra cake mix. So you may want to use 1.5 packets, but again that depends on the size of the pan that you're using. Me personally, I'm using about 1.25, but if you're going to use a bigger pan, well, I'd recommend 1.5. Okay, so we're going to place this back in the oven. Now the packet will say 40 minutes, 45 minutes, but it'll probably only take about half an hour considering the middle is already cooked. But just check it after about half an hour, then check it every say 2 minutes afterwards. Once you touch it on the sides and the middle, it springs back, that means it's ready. Now our cakes have plenty of time to cool down, so as a final step, I have some ready-made frosting that I've just brought from the shops, and it's a vanilla flavour. And what I've done is I've just coloured it in blue, which represents the Rebel Alliance or the light side of the Force. So we're just going to decorate the outside of our cake in our blue frosting. So all we have to do now is just slice it open. And there we have our Yoda. Now of course I'll admit it doesn't look extremely like Yoda, but it's got the general shape and outline. And again, you don't have to stick to this one type of shape. You can choose any type of shape that you like. You want to make a love heart for your special someone? That's so easy to do as well. And just by following these simple directions, you can get the pattern as close to the middle as possible. But no matter what, when you serve one of these Star Wars cakes up, or one of your choice, they're still going to taste simply delish. And once you know how to do it, they really are very simple to make. So thank you for watching this episode of Todd's Kitchen. Please check the links down below to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Home Handy Hints channel. And please do me a massive favour by giving this video a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another delicious recipe.